really excited. I actually remember getting the letter in my mailbox, and I opened it up, and it was during one of my preps, and I ran to both of their rooms. I'm like, guess what, we got the grant. So we were very excited, not only for ourselves, but for our students as well. Yeah.
So very excited, because, I mean, who doesn't like winning things? I think that it actually excited me more to be able to kind of like focus on something that I wouldn't normally get to focus on in my classroom.
We were thrilled and very excited. We were childishly enthusiastic, hopping up and down and running around and cheering. It was a big deal to get it.
We were really excited to receive the grant money because we'd worked so hard the year before to put together a makerspace program in first grade, and there was a really long wish list. So to get the money, we were really, really excited to be able to bring some new things to first grade.
We were thrilled and honored to find out that we were chosen, and we know it's a competitive and diligent process, so we applaud their dedicated efforts. And we were humbled by the generosity of the HET Grant team for supporting our initiative, which was titled Building World Language Proficiency Skills Through Technology.
So when I was first awarded the HET grant, I was elated because I knew exactly what I wanted to do with it. And my students knew that I was applying for the grant, so it felt like this reward for both of us. And it also felt like an opportunity was granted to us, no pun intended.
We were thrilled. This has been something that we've all wanted to work together on, the flexible seating option and just giving our students what they need to learn best. So when we found out that we got the grant, we just couldn't wait to.
We were really excited. We actually applied for grants previously and were not awarded the grant, so this time when it came through, we were very excited.
I was very excited. I told the students the next day that we would be getting ukuleles for the middle school program, and they were ecstatic. Some of them had never played before. And some of the new students coming up from 5th grade were able to jump in again with bigger instruments. They're called concert size. These are ukuleles, and the program I designed is called Uke Can Do It. Kids will be playing ukulele at the end of class. When we finish all of our choir music that we're preparing, they've found that it's very relaxing to strum on the ukulele, and we do some karaoke, some popular music, and they leave the room at the end of the day with all the stress behind them by simply playing an instrument.
Very happy. So having the ability to conduct the study that we wanted to do required the funding, and so when I found out that we got the funding, we were very happy, very eager to share that news with my students.
Able to expand our teaching not just from like your typical math, reading, and science, but we're able to teach our kids problem-solving skills and critical thinking skills, also building a lot of teamwork skills.
So my particular project is focusing on working with the middle school students to develop a public service announcement in addition to a social media campaign. And I think the impact that it will have is like social media is big, right? It's big among teens, it's big among youth in general in a way that it wasn't when some of your teachers were in school. And so I think it creates a space where students can use those things positively, and it kind of bridges what's happening that they're doing already with some of the stuff we want to accomplish in the classroom.
We started makerspaces in first grade at Lizzie Haddon last year, so it was an innovation for us. And we didn't have that many supplies, and it built up. The students were very excited and motivated and enthusiastic. So now with this money, we were able to purchase more
Technology.
We got some technology, we got some mathematical things, we got some engineering activities, so we're able to make it more almost professional so that they have more materials to utilize. So we know it will make our makerspace better.
And we, in implementing Makerspace, it's a STEAM initiative. So when we were gathering materials on our own, we had parts of the science or the art, a little bit of technology. So when we received the grant, we were able to make it
fully operational. We were able to really address the science, the technology, the engineering, the math side, the really build up the artistic part of the makerspace, and it will really benefit the students.
It allows us to continue adding 21st century skills to our curricula. Communication, collaboration, and technology literacy are three of the main areas of the 21st century skills map. So students get to use technology, in this case the iPads, to research, to organize, and to communicate with various cultures. They also, our young students are already global citizens, so they must use language on a daily basis and technology on a daily basis, so they can use technology in this case to interpret messages, to interact with each other, and to produce written, oral, and visual messages in the target language, Spanish.
So the grant I earned, I used that funding to apply for the Open Door Project at the Philadelphia Shakespeare Theater. And what that afforded us was an opportunity to work with an artist in residence, and that means that a local Philadelphia actor would come to our classroom for a full week and workshop a play with us. And this was through the Philadelphia Shakespeare Theater. So what we did was, instead of workshopping just one play, I collaborated with Aaron Kirkpatrick and Rebecca Wilcox of the Philadelphia Shakespeare Theater to create a week-long Shakespeare workshop on the basics of Shakespeare. So we did a day on stage combat, we did a day of language and rhetoric, we did very focused work on scenes from Richard III, Twelfth Night, and these were plays that we were studying in the classroom, because the way I structure my class is that it is page to stage, meaning that the plays that we read in class are the plays that are on stage in Philadelphia and the surrounding area. So this was a wonderful opportunity for me to also think about my teaching practices and how they mirror the real world and how they mirror the production process for actors and directors and theater companies as a whole. So I've used what I learned in that workshop for a week to design my semester this year. So the lessons I learned from Eric Kirkpatrick, the artist in residence, I've now integrated through all of my lessons for Shakespeare this semester.
It has transformed my teaching, just with the ability to take risks and kind of try things out. And really for the benefit of a couple students was my intention, and then realizing that once you meet those students where they need you, kind of like work towards their strengths, it really affects the whole class. So with the grant being something for just a couple of students, I've seen it just completely transform their classroom environment. So it's encouraged me to take risks.
It's had a very positive impact. I started the ukulele in 5th grade, and kids are moving up through the program into middle school now, having some knowledge of playing. The kids are very calm. I find that it really brings their mood in a very positive place. In music class, they all enjoy coming, and even if they're not all that excited about singing, they like to play the instruments, and the strumming pattern is very relaxing to them. So it's made an incredible addition to the music program on the elementary level, and now into the middle school level, where it can be a little more stressful for them, and this has been a very relaxing part of our day.
It's going to allow me to do things that I wouldn't normally be able to do because of resources. So it's going to allow us to expand our scope for environmental science into the community, and ultimately for the Sustainable Jersey program.
Well, I run the STEM club at Elizabeth Haddon. So right now we're using a 3D printer. So the impact is we actually got Legos that are motorized. So now we can use those motorized Legos to make our designs come into fruition, not only through the 3D modeling, but with Legos as well.
So it's helped our students develop more critical thinking skills and also team building skills, which is something that they can bring with them as they move on to different grade levels.
And even real world skills, like how to get along with other people, and if something doesn't work the first time, what can we do to try to problem solve, to come up with a different way.
And I was just going to say the same, problem solving. It's just a big part of experimenting.
And creative thinking. And they're building and having fun, and they're not realizing they're learning these life skills at the same time.
what I hope the impact is that it provides them an opportunity to see that social media, there are some benefits to social media. I think sometimes when adults tell youth not to use social media, it's because we are able to point out all the bad things about why it doesn't work. But I hope students are able to understand that social media is not just about like communing with your friends and talking with your friends and hanging out, although that's a big part of it, but really allow them to be able to see that they can be a part of something larger because they have access to a lot more people through social media.
Our students will have more opportunities to be creative. When we do Makerspace, we always ask them to do a reflection afterwards. And it's really telling to hear what a 6-year-old or 7-year-old thinks about what we've put together as a lesson and what we think they'll get out of it. And then to be able to see their own words is really powerful. When the kids say, I enjoyed it because I got to be creative. I enjoyed it because I used my imagination. I enjoyed it because my mom or my dad is an engineer and I got to be an engineer today too. It really does make them think about trying out new things outside of the classroom, and when they get to try things in the classroom and then a couple weeks later they come home and say, I got one of these at home now and I got to try it, I showed my brother, I showed my sister, that's really powerful and that's making an impact.
It's I think the motivation piece. So the materials that we have now are so exciting and so hands-on. We have them all arranged on a cart, so we have Makerspace at least every other week we try to fit it in. So if they see the cart when they come in the morning, it sets the tone for the whole day that we're looking forward to that in the afternoon.
The students K through 8 are using the iPads to collaborate and create, and they have to work together to create a project or to help something. For example, the first graders work together to come up with a solution of how to take care of El Yunque, which is the national rainforest in Puerto Rico. So the students use the iPads to make telegamis, giving information about protecting nature and saving water. Then we made a Wix website using the iPads and we sent it to the public relations coordinator of El Yunque in Puerto Rico. Students get to use their creativity and innovation. For example, middle school Spanish students right now are researching Phillies players using the iPads, and the Phillies players from Venezuela and Dominican Republic, they're writing letters in Spanish to send to them. In elementary school and both middle school, the Spanish students in class are using the iPads to research prices at a Spanish supermarket and plan for a birthday party, and to go shopping at a designer store called Mango in España.
So for my students, I think that this empowered them because they were working directly with an actor who lives and breathes these texts just like they do. And I think that they realized that what they do in the classroom is really not too different, if at all, from what happens in the professional world in terms of acting and performance. And the Shakespeare course is not an acting course, it is an English course, and we're really focused on language, but we use performance-based skills to enhance and bring the text to life. So I think for my students it was empowering for them. I think it legitimized the work that they do, and then they understood how much analysis it requires in order to perform. So I think that they learned a lot from this experience because it brought it to life.
Well, similarly to that, so my students have seen that not one size fits all, and really what's fair is not what everybody needs, kind of that saying that we always go for. But I think they have seen that, you know, the standing desks looks so neat, and they all want to try it out. But some kids can stay there for a longer amount of time and a longer duration, and it's still comfortable. And some kids have seen it as like, you know, I'm done and I don't need this anymore. So I think they've learned that fair isn't always equal through the experience. So it's been great.
They're going to get to see an extension on climate change science that most students don't get a chance to experience by looking at storage of carbon dioxide and the emphasis of doing that in a suburban setting. This is very new science. This is very experimental, but also very important. So they're going to be essentially on the cutting edge of climate change science.
We hope they take this information with them, and they take these skills and this experience with them as they get older and apply it to real world situations and just be able to think critically and experiment.
And they can pursue other classes in the future, maybe like an engineering class or a technology class, and maybe they weren't so sure of taking that class. But now this will give them the confidence to pursue those different classes once they grow older in middle school and high school.
I think I teach 6th grade right now, so I think the more that they mature, the more they'll be able to understand the idea of like how to bridge a social movement with social media, and understanding like hashtags aren't just hashtags, right? Like it connects people from all parts of the world that have a common theme and a common like movement in mind. And so I'm hoping that even beyond what we're trying to accomplish this year, they just get a sense of like rallying behind a cause of some sort, because the world is full of things they can back behind, and how they can use what's handheld, like their iPads, their cell phones, like use those things to be able to see other parts of the world that are readily available to them.
Well, it's our hope to be able to share the materials beyond first grade, throughout the elementary school. And we can even see it now when the students do makerspace in the library and come back and say, oh, I tried this, I noticed this. So even right now they're taking it outside of our own classroom. And so when they go to 2nd grade and go to 3rd grade, they'll be able to seek out some of those opportunities, and their teachers will be able to too.
I'm thinking about, we have 5th grade buddies, so we're in 1st grade and we have buddies that are in 5th grade. So when these 1st graders are in 5th grade, they'll be able to come back and work with the little guys with these materials and they'll have an older perspective and be able to teach us even more than we are. They'll be able to come with new ideas that we haven't even thought of yet.
And that will be fun to see the growth.
Yes.
Say, I remember when when you used your imagination, when you put this together in 1st grade, and now you're in 5th grade. That will be really gratifying for us to be able to say.
So the students are building proficiency skills in the Spanish language from year to year, and they're becoming more comfortable with using the Spanish keyboard on the iPads. Another great thing is that Haddonfield has Google Classroom, so each student has their unique Haddonfield ID and password, so all the projects can be saved on Google Drive and Google Classroom, and they can have it from year to year.
So my students in the Shakespeare elective are seniors in high school, so what this really means is that this is their last experience in a high school classroom with Shakespeare, which looks different than an academic setting in college. So my hope is that my students after this workshop would go see plays on their own and have an appreciation of the text that maybe that they didn't have before because they just saw it within the 4 walls of their classroom. And now that we're seeing the plays and then working with actors and learning their process, that they have a new understanding, evaluation, and appreciation of the arts.
So we're trying to teach students at an early age to know themselves as learners and what helps them to learn best. And as Christina mentioned, it isn't one size fits all. I may enjoy very much sitting, but Colleen might work better in standing, and Karen might work better if she has the opportunity to move. And this has been something that's going on that the therapists promote for students with IEPs. But as we started implementing seating alternatives for students, we started to realize it isn't just the students with IEPs who need flexible options. So we wanted to make it a more global experience. And we're hoping to teach that at a very young age so that students can advocate for themselves as they go forward into higher grades and other schools.
In addition, we would like to keep getting more of these desks for other classrooms and have so that more kids can start to use them. And it also helps with kids who we feel like really need it to not stand out because the entire class can use the desks. It's not just for our, classified children.
Well, most of my students are heading on, if not this year, next year, to college. So any of them that go into environmental science or any related field are going to be able to come into that program with a very not only diverse experience in terms of labs, but a lot of depth in terms of study and statistics and quantifying environmental science.
well, let's just give them something to be excited about and look forward to. They can come back to the club or offer it to other classmates who maybe didn't get to try it the first time, and they might be able to inspire them to come along and try the STEM club.
Really impact the whole school because it's really just a third grade project, and so it'll help that. It'll kind of do the same thing that we just said before. It'll help them as they grow, but it's not going to help the whole school as a whole.
So in general, schools, like, I feel like kids often have like these two kind of dichotomous relationships with school. Like, you either love it or you hate it in some respects. And so I'm hoping to kind of use this as a bridge to kind of bridge those two ends and find a happy medium. I think that the idea of a public service announcement is made to be able to create an opportunity for students to be aware of some particular issue. The particular issue that we're highlighting is just the idea of creating spaces of kindness and respect, especially those that deal with difference, and just hopefully getting students to see or be more sensitive to some of those differences between themselves. And so I think overall the school will be a safer place where students won't necessarily mind coming to school every day because they'll understand, like, difference is not bad. It's not greater than or less than. It's just different, and that's what it is.
Well, Makerspace is building in our school and in the 3 elementary schools for sure. You know,
it's a philosophy, I think. It is. And a change in the way that we instruct and let the kids take the lead and take the materials and build and explore and experiment and fail and try again. It's a whole shift in mindset.
And even not only mindset, but recognizing things that we already do that are STEAM initiatives. The number of times that we've looked at our new math program, you know, and look at the next lesson and say, "Oh, that's Makerspace."
Put that right
that's
in there.
really neat.
Yeah.
So that's exciting too, to be able to take it across the curriculum.
The school gets to see what the students are doing. Just last week, the first graders at Central Elementary got to showcase what they were doing in Spanish class. They used an app called Pic Collage where they had to describe themselves using 2 adjectives in Spanish. They took selfies of themselves. They used the Spanish keyboard to type at least 2 adjectives. They changed fonts, added stickers to enhance their photo. We put it all together in an iMovie, and it was presented to the entire school community.
So what I think this workshop did for the school is that I think it created a buzz. I think every day you had an actor coming in, first and third period, and the students were coming in to a professional workshop. And when my students from other classes walk in and out, they'd ask questions, or I would actually end up showing my other classes what I was doing in that previous class because I was so excited about what I had learned that day. And a buzz was created, a buzz about Shakespeare, who was alive and well in 8209. And we had actors coming in to see us and see what we were doing. And it was just, to me, I'm just jazzed even thinking about it now. And so in terms of the school as a whole, right, at the end we didn't put on a big performance for the school, right? We did not say, whole community come in and see this. But I think that energy is contagious. And sometimes that's just as valuable, right, impacting 35 to 50 lives as it is 800 because there's this ripple effect, right? And I really do believe that energy is contagious. And last year I had 35 students in my Shakespeare program. This year I have 50 students in my Shakespeare program. And I attribute some of that success to earning the HET grant and what we learned from Aaron Kirkpatrick.
We're teaching that to the whole population at school. So now as we're walking through the hallways, we're starting to see standing desks, compliments of the grant, but also alert seats. They're the physio balls that are actually manufactured into chairs, stools of different varieties in addition to standard chairs. It's become more normalized now. It's allowing every individual to work at his or her own best, but we're seeing it in every classroom. So it's starting to change the culture across the whole school rather than just one classroom. And the grant actually allowed us enough desks that we were able to try this in several different grades in all 3 elementary schools.
And it's promoting the advocacy piece in all areas of learning. So the flexible seating is the most comfortable option, and then I think from there, like asking questions for re-information, or can you say that again, or students just feel empowered in a different sense.
Absolutely.
So it's been great.
Absolutely.
Well, I think it'll continue our environmental legacy. We have a program that has for 17 years now developed some pretty innovative programs, given students an opportunity to do some very diverse and dynamic things. So I think it'll just, it's one more project that's going to continue moving us in that direction.
As a whole, it's great that we're moving towards STEM, and adding the technology and engineering part into our everyday teaching, and especially that they can be creative and design things based on, we're giving them a set of circumstances, like Tinkercad is a program that we use in City X, so they get to make something for somebody who went to an unknown planet and have to come up with a design, and then plan it out, do the engineering, and then they actually get to build it with a 3D printer.
Yeah, I think it would be a really great opportunity if we were able to do it again and add to the materials that we already have and just get even more so we can continue having fun with it.
Sure, if I have another good idea, I would consider it. I mean, a lot of the way I approach my classroom is all about like this idea of bridging academic learning with social learning, and so if I could figure out another way to kind of skim that back to something that students wouldn't mind being involved with, I absolutely would.
Yes, we certainly would. If we can think of something else that we need, we absolutely would. It was well worth the effort and time that we took to write the grant and to get to receive it. I think the satisfaction we got from that, we would absolutely apply again.
In the future, perhaps Dana and I will build off of this initiative. However, we want our colleagues to reap the benefits of this non-profit foundation and to come up with their own thing and go for it.
Yes, absolutely. My biggest regret this year is that I did not submit an HET grant. And truthfully, I didn't submit because I didn't think it was likely that I would earn the grant again. However, I see that that is foolish. And I've been able to apply what I learned last year to my classroom this year. But I think that time was really valuable with the professional because it wasn't just what Ms. Dixine was saying. It was what Erica Patrick, professional actor, had experienced and was sharing with my students. So I will absolutely apply for this next year. I'd be interested in the Open Door project again because it's something that I can't create for my students exactly. Also, there's a traveling like Hamlet tour, and they do workshops with students as well. There is Commonwealth Shakespeare, and there's so many other opportunities. So I certainly will be applying again.
And for that reason, flexible seating is tangible. You walk into a classroom and you can tell immediately that this classroom is different, and it's not something that I've seen before, and it's interesting. It creates interest in parents, it creates interest in the community, and so it just creates like that culture just at the school really is persuaded across like all stakeholders in education.
I'm thinking about another grant proposal. I haven't decided exactly what I'd like to add to the choir program at the middle school, but as soon as something does come about between the students and I, we run some ideas back and forth and see what kinds of other things we could add to our program.
Very likely, yeah. So there's no shortage of environmental projects that need to be done and that I see as fitting nicely into our environmental program, so I would certainly not hesitate to apply again.
Absolutely. It was an easy enough process to do, and I feel like it really benefited the program.
I mean, I'll be quite honest, like I literally applied the night before because I was going back and forth about whether or not it made sense for me to do it, and then I said, you know what, I'm going to do it and just see what happens, and I actually ended up getting it. And so in my mind, it was just a matter of thinking like, well, no one's going to think that what I think is important. But my advice to any teacher would be like to just try it. Like there are, unfortunately, like we have to teach our academic subject area, but I do think that a grant like this provides us an opportunity to kind of bridge what we're doing academically to what we're actually interested in and provide a way to kind of bring students into our interests in a way that I don't think we normally would. So it didn't take long. I would do it all over again.
Just try, just sit down. We have to put a huge shout out and thank you to Dana Bissinger at Tatum because she wrote a grant previously the year before and it had been accepted. So she gave us her sort of skeleton outline so we knew what we needed to include and the things we needed to research and the proof we needed to provide that it would be beneficial to our schools. So,
and we would definitely pay that forward.
Yeah.
You know, that if there were other teachers looking to write the grant, it's not as scary as it sounds.
And certainly, we would be willing to help them with the process, because sometimes that can be a little overwhelming. It takes a little time, but it's definitely worth the effort.
I would say at first you might be overwhelmed by it, and if that's what you're feeling, then talk to a colleague and partner up and put in a joint proposal. Also, you might be apprehensive thinking that the cost of your initiative is going to be too much and the HET grant can't help you. We say go get the quotes, find out, and then the HET grant team will work with you to help you figure out what is necessary to get this project starting and off the ground.
Submit one. That would be my advice. The application itself can feel overwhelming, and if you are feeling the way, break it down. That's what I did. And I think that if you have a vision that you need to put in the energy to make it come to fruition, and you have to have the courage to do that and find people that will support you in that. So just do it, because you have nothing to lose. And HET wants to see our community grow, and we can only do that if our teachers plant those seeds.
Well, I think the process was reasonable. It wasn't a very long process. It was a very thoughtful process, and it made us really think about one thing that we wanted to focus on. I think I know everybody has ideas, and everybody at some point or another said, I wish we had, I wish I could try. And I think, just putting those ideas into action, they should definitely, do this.
I appreciated that it gave us an opportunity to pull some of the research together that supports why this is helpful to students in the learning process, and just become very familiar with it. It was easy to grab that research, and it was easy to tie it into the grant application, and then I just felt like it gave us more ammunition to kind of push our cause and educate others. I think without the opportunity to structure that information, I don't think it would have been as readily available.
I agree. And I think it was a great opportunity for therapists to work together. I'm a classroom teacher, so to work together on a team for a common purpose to benefit our students was like a phenomenal opportunity. So it really helped us, I can get closer as professionals, but also really to help our students. That was our ultimate goal. So,
for teachers who haven't submitted the grant proposal, it's a very easy process. It didn't take more than an hour to fill out the application and submit it online. So it's a very easy process, and the decisions were very positive. Seemed that most teachers who had submitted a grant proposal were able to receive funds for their project.
Well, I would say if a teacher has the resources that they need for the program that they deliver, I certainly understand it does take some investment of time, but if you have something that you want to do that's beyond either the normal resources that are available to you, or perhaps falls outside the range of the curriculum that you would normally get funding for, I would say definitely consider applying.
If anyone asked about signing up for an HET grant, I would tell them to absolutely apply for one. It definitely benefits the students. It's easy enough to do. The process is not hard at all, and they're very open-minded and will be glad to support us in any cause that we have.
Well, the process overall was fairly simple. I feel like it was very straightforward. It was easy to fill out the grant, and so that part was pretty simple.
Well, we did notice that when some of the supplies that we wanted to order were cheaper found through Amazon, and unfortunately Amazon doesn't accept purchase orders, and so we weren't able to order through Amazon, and so we could have gotten more bang for our buck if we were able to. So I don't know if there's a way that HET could work somehow with Amazon, either accepting purchase orders or creating a different type of fund where they pay it. But it would have helped save a little bit of money, and then we would have had more for other supplies.
I think the process ran pretty smoothly. I think the application itself was self-explanatory. I think it made it easy to be able to kind of submit it via Google Docs. That helped a lot, especially for somebody like me who did it last minute. And so I would just say kudos to them for the process, because it works well.
Well, we certainly have major gratitude, and we appreciate it so much. And I think that just the existence of this place where we can go and request money that maybe there wouldn't be access to on a regular basis can expand and change the way that we approach education and the way that we approach first grade.
And, you know, I come from a family of teachers, and they teach all over the tri-state area, and to feel the support for education that there is here in Haddonfield is really a very special thing. And so, you know, when I hear people talk about education in other places, you know, it really
makes us value
what we have, and it feels really good.
We were very thankful that they provided the rubric and the requirements at the beginning of the school year to help us start thinking about our project. Also, they answered questions in a very timely manner throughout the whole application process.
I think it would be helpful if the HET took time, and I don't know if we did this last year, so I apologize if this did happen. But if the HET had a workshop during the professional development days for teachers to walk teachers through how to apply for a grant. Not every teacher knows how to apply for a grant, even though it's step by step and it is very clear how to apply. However, it asks for line items and things that people may be unfamiliar with. And I've applied to grants before, so I've been familiar with the process, but it can be really overwhelming. And teachers have so many responsibilities that it would be good if in that first week of professional development that there was a session led by HET, and HET could just contact our professional development community to host one of those, and that would be helpful.
Well, I think it was a very kind offering, and I understand that there are quite a lot of grants that went out, and I heard from other teachers that it was very welcome. I think it's a very great organization to offer this to the elementary schools for us to explore our learning and therefore help our students.
I think the just more exposure maybe, because I think HET sent the email, and not that we got what we wanted out of it, which was nice, but I think there's so many ideas that just more exposure and more awareness would be neat. And then this is wonderful that you're asking how it went too, so I think that's a good step.
Certainly gratitude. Very happy to be partnering with the HET, as we have partnered with the Board of Education through approval of a lot of the projects that the Environmental Science program does. Also with Sustainable Haddonfield, so the HET has really allowed that partnership to grow and mature, and I'm very grateful to have the funding and support.
And I think it's a very nice program that they run. It's very beneficial to the students, it's beneficial to the school, and it's just all around a good thing for everyone, I believe.
Haddonfield Educational Trust. Thank you so much, the Haddonfield Education Trust.
Well, I have to thank my principal because he supports a lot. He makes me feel like my ideas are good ideas. So Dennis Miralda at the middle school, thank you for that. I would thank the HET for even, just considering my application, and for all of my students who excitedly join on to things like this, because they make me want to continue to think about creative ways to do the things that we're doing.
I'd like to thank our principal. I'd like to thank Jerry Bissinger for pushing us in that direction to write a grant, and for introducing us to the concept. It was an in-house professional development that we took together. The 3 elementary principals put it together, and it was really exciting, and it sort of opened the door. And then we got some PTA money to buy some Lego kits, and then it just snowballed from there. So there's a lot of people to thank.
Yeah, a huge thank you to the people that run the grant and the community at large, who just, if they can say yes, they'll find a way to say yes and help us out any way that we need. So the Haddonfield community, teachers, administration, everyone comes together.
First, we would like to thank the HET and the grant team for making this even possible. The principals, the administration, and the secretaries for helping turn this from a piece of paper into reality. We also know that the HET puts events like a family barbecue, tennis, and golf tournaments to raise money, so we thank the community and the parents for raising money. We understand that corporate and public donors are involved, so we thank them as well. The Board of Education invited us to a meeting one night and presented us with a check. And honestly, we thank anyone that was involved in making this possible. We're really humbled by your generosity.
So I really want to thank my students from the class of 2016 last year for sharing their enthusiasm and pushing me to do things like this. And I think that all teachers kind of feel that their students push them in these directions, and that's why these things come to fruition. But I'd like to thank the entire Haddonfield community, my current students, my former students, my colleagues, for supporting me and also supporting our students in the study of Shakespeare.
Well, I think first of all, the HET and all of its supporters, I think this is a nice opportunity for them to see what happens with all the support that they give. We all had the support of this classroom, the elementary school principals. We all work in all three of the elementary schools, so all the elementary school principals helped us. The director of special services helped us.
Definitely the members of the HET board who were so responsive and efficient in doing so. I think when we first sent it out, I can't speak for everyone, but I was nervous because it was sent electronically. I was nervous to know whether or not it was received. There was a deadline. They were very responsive and let us know it's been received, it's all good. And then when the decision making started, I thought it was really thoughtful that they notified each of us individually, even though we applied as a group for the grant. I thought that that was amazing. And to them also for all of their fundraising efforts. There's just so much that goes into those. The fact that they keep doing it and coming back with amazing opportunities every year is really cool. And also to the parents of the students that we work with for allowing us to try things that are out of the box.
I would like to thank the Haddonfield Educational Trust for funding our extra innovative programs at the schools in Haddonfield.
Certainly all the folks at the HET, for Mr. Klaus and Mr. Wilson, the rest of the administrative folks who have always supported us, and certainly for my students who are the people who are going to be collecting this data and ultimately make the need for this study a reality, because I wouldn't be able to collect this data myself, and really educationally there'd be no point without students to share it with.
Well, first I'd like to thank my principal who actually suggested that I apply for the grant. And then of course the HET committee themselves for even considering giving me the grant, and then affording me the opportunity to make one of my goals in the STEM club come to fruition.